Hey everyone, this is Rabbit's Ball Animation Bliss, and welcome to another anime discussion series. So today's anime discussion we talk about today is my thoughts on the 4th episode of Helluva Boss, C.H.E.R.U.B. And before I get into my thoughts about this episode, here are a few words from the channel. So you guys may have noticed I'm actually wearing a different t-shirt for today. That's right, this t-shirt I actually created with my own hands. I did the designs and everything, I did the colors. So you guys might be wondering, well, that's a beautiful t-shirt, Rabbit Ears Blog. Where did you get it? Well, I'll tell you. I actually made this t-shirt from Teespring. So if you guys really like this t-shirt, you love the rainbow colors, the creative designs and everything, and you want to get your own t-shirt, then please feel free to go to teespring.com and get your own rainbow color TV, video game, and movie t-shirt today. So if you're a huge fan of movies, TV shows, and video games in general, you can support your love for video games, TV shows, and movies in general by getting this shirt today. Really love this t-shirt. So colorful and so beautiful to look at. Alright, Animaniacs, now let's get on the social media train. Want to chat with us in 100 words or less? Then check out our Twitter account. Want to chat with us within a group? Then check out our Facebook account. Want to get the lowdown on everything dealing with animation on this channel? Then check all of the above. And now, we return to our regularly scheduled program. So in this episode, Imp ends up getting a client who asked him to kill an old man who said client was partners with in real life until an experiment that they both performed had ended up turning both of them old, and said experiment ended up killing the man who ended up going down to the underworld, and he asked Imp to kill his friend who's still alive despite the fact that said friend is too old to move out of bed. And so Imp tries to go up to the world of the living and try to kill the old man, but then it turns out that C.H.E.R.U.B, who are beings that came from heaven, are trying to convince the old man to still stay alive, while Imp is trying to convince the old guy to kill himself. And that's pretty much what this episode is all about. So what are my thoughts about this episode of Helluva Boss? I will admit that this episode is probably one of the most interesting episodes I've seen so far. So in this episode, we finally get a good look at what heaven is all about, because in the previous episodes and in Has Been Hotel, we didn't really get a good insight of what heaven is like. Even though the characters are constantly talking about heaven, we never saw what heaven was like for itself. And this is the first episode that actually tackle what heaven looks like in this world and how the characters who came from heaven are like. And in this episode, it shows that the characters from heaven are no different from the Imp characters. And I enjoy seeing that both the Imp characters and the C.H.E.R.U.B group were both very shady characters, even though they came from very different places. So I do like the fact that this episode actually tackles that, and we get to see how both sides are trying to take this man's life, because they're just trying to do their jobs. You know, Imp is this organization in the underworld that tries to take people's lives because that's their job. But then you got the group C.H.E.R.U.B who came from heaven. They're trying to make people see their ways and try to keep on living. And that's their jobs too. So I enjoyed the fact that this episode was able to look at both of these characters from different points of views. And yet both of these characters have a good point when they're both just trying to do their jobs. And of course, this episode is more focused on comedy, or dark comedy, as the show usually does indulge into. But this episode is more comedy centric, so I did enjoy that fact, to actually have an episode that's not too dramatic at times, just having a fun loving episode that just shows these characters trying to do their jobs while causing mayhem wherever they go. So I do like that aspect of this episode. Now, if there was an issue that I had with this episode, is that this episode doesn't have a lot of character development. Like in the previous episodes of Helluva Boss, we usually get some kind of character development with all the characters. Like we had an episode where it focuses on Luna and her characterization. We had another episode that focused on Stolas and his characterization. But in this episode, none of the characters really get any kind of focus. We don't even know that much about C.H.E.R.U.B as a group or what heaven is like overall. So I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get to know much about heaven and about C.H.E.R.U.B as a group. And I would have liked this episode to actually give some more explanation about C.H.E.R.U.B as a group and what they were like when they're in heaven. So yeah, I kind of wish that this episode had some character moments, at least in regards to the group C.H.E.R.U.B, since I wanted to know more about heaven in this universe and about C.H.E.R.U.B as a group. So yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode of Helluva Boss C.H.E.R.U.B. It was probably the first episode that actually gave us a bit of an insight of what heaven is like. And I would like to see more of heaven in this series and see how they're being portrayed in this world of Helluva Boss. So I do like the fact that we actually have an episode that kind of focuses on heaven a bit and what they do as opposed to what Imp does. So those are my thoughts about the 4th episode, Helluva Boss C.H.E.R.U.B. And tell me in the comments down below, have you seen this episode? And if you have, did you like this episode? Did you hate this episode? And what were some of the most controversial episodes you've seen from Helluva Boss so far? Please feel free to tell me in the comments down below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is C.H.E.R.U.B, your Animation Bliss, and I'll see you guys later.